What's up, everybody? Welcome to Make Things Tiny. My name is Mick, and today we're talking about tiny houses as a solution for addressing issues related to housing, homelessness, housing insecurity. I'm talking to Matt Huff. Matt is the founder and executive director of Agape Village PDX, which is a tiny house village that is specifically focusing on addressing issues related to homelessness, so providing shelter for those who don't currently have homes. And it's on the property of the Portland Central Nazarene Church, which is in Southeast Portland. So Matt's going to talk a little bit about the inspiration for the village, what they offer, the design for the pods, and you want to make sure you stick around for the end of the video because they're also going to give us a tour so you can see what everything looks like. I'm really excited for you guys to learn about this. I know a lot of you are interested in issues related to affordable housing, and when we're talking about homelessness or transitional housing and shelters, it's kind of all in that same conversational space. Before getting into the video, I just want to take a second to thank the sponsor for this video. This video is sponsored by Mac Insurance. Mac Insurance is the tiny house insurance company. They provide a comprehensive policy for your tiny house. So whether you're going to live in it as your primary dwelling, a secondary, a short-term rental, long-term rental, whatever it is, they've got you covered. So thank you so much for sponsoring this video, Mac Insurance, and make sure you check them out as well too. All right, if you're new to the channel, please take time to subscribe. It helps me out a ton. There's a subscribe button at the bottom of your screen, and if you tap the notification bell, it lets you know when I drop new videos. I drop new videos every single week, so let's get into it. Let's learn about this tiny house village that's trying to provide support for people who don't have homes. So I'm here today with Matt. Matt is the founder of Agape Village up in Portland. Thank you so much, Matt, for being on the channel. I'm excited to talk to you and for people to learn more about you and what you do. If you don't mind just talking a little bit about yourself, like what got you interested in tiny homes and specifically as like an option for addressing housing.
Sure. So Agape Village started from just a vision that the church had. So the village is located on the property of Central Nazarene Church. And so we were just trying to love our neighbor better and trying to figure out what we could do to serve the need in our community. And so we learned that people needed a safe place to be, safe place to stay, so they could access other resources and find more permanent housing. And so we heard about the village model that was happening here in Portland and also down in Eugene. And so we took some tours, had lots of conversations, and I guess we just kind of determined that building small sleeping pods or small tiny houses was just pretty cost effective and provided a safe place and a private place for people to be and to hang out. And so so that's kind of where we started, was just trying to love our neighbor better and provide a need that wasn't being met at the time.
No, I think that makes sense. And I think that's really awesome that you were in a position to be able to do that in terms of the land, because I know that regardless of the size of the tiny house or a pod, it does take up a bit of space. When did the village start, and what's sort of like the design for the different pods? Are they designed for just like sleeping, or is there like bathrooms? Like what's the sort of setup there?
Yeah, so we started building the village probably 2017, 2018. We opened in December of 2019. It's set up kind of like a campground, like a KOA. Okay. So every pod is pretty much the same. They're all 8 by 12. Some of them differ a little bit in that some of them have a loft. Some of them don't have a loft. Some of them have a built-in storage. Some of them don't. But they're all basically just 8 by 12. So plenty of room for a bed and a chair, something to hang out. So there is space to kind of exist in it. And then there is a shared common room. So it's a building that's a bit bigger. So it's probably more like 12 by 15 or something like that. So it is bigger. And in that common room, we have freezer, microwave, refrigerator, TV, that kind of stuff. And then we have a shared bathroom building that has 3 bathrooms in it, shower and toilet in each room. And then we also have a shared, it's kind of like an outdoor kitchen, so there's a grill and a sink and that kind of stuff that everybody has access to. And then because we're on the property of the church, everybody has the opportunity, if they want, to come down and use the kitchen in the church if they need to, or whatever. So yeah,
that's great. It sounds like there's a lot of like just like amenities that you offer, and people can really sort of like make it a home. And honestly, 8 by 12, it might not sound like a lot to people, but like there are plenty of bedrooms, like formal bedrooms in houses that aren't that big. So that's plenty of space. And, with the kitchen and the bathroom and all those different resources available, like I could see people being like really comfortable in that space. So I think that's a really cool model. Is there like a monthly fee? I know it varies. Like some villages have fees, some don't. Is there a monthly fee that people have to pay?
So
What's
we
like the
have,
process for them?
yep. So everybody that comes in, we do ask that they do their best to try to pay. We call it a participation fee. It's
Hmm.
$75. But that doesn't preclude you from being able to move into the village if you can't.
Hmm.
If you can't pay, then we ask that maybe you volunteer a little extra or do some extra work around the village, that kind of stuff. The motivation that we give to people is that if they pay that participation fee every month, then when they do go to get into an apartment, we can kind of give almost like a referral and say, hey, they've been paying.
Hmm.
It kind of gives them a little bit of a history if they didn't already have some.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's smart. I think that's a really good, because I mean, I feel like that does prevent a lot of people who don't currently have like a place to live from getting one. It's just like that, showing that like rental history. Like some places might be, more strict about that. So I think
Yeah.
that's, and I like that you call it a participation fee too, because it shows that it's like a community that you're sort of giving, putting your time and effort into in exchange for a place to live. So I think that's a really cool way to sort of like the language around that.
Yeah, for sure. Yep. And that's
Hmm.
what we want to do is build community. And so hopefully everybody feels like it's not just a space we're giving them, but it's their space they get to be a part of.
Hmm. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I know that like measuring the impact of programs in general is important, but also, specifically programs that are trying to address issues related to like homelessness and housing. How do you, as a community with the church, like how do you sort of evaluate or measure the success or the impact of the village?
So one of our main things is have we helped people get into housing? Have we helped
Hmm.
them find a place of stability mentally and emotionally and physically, to where they're able to and want to move into permanent housing? A lot of the folks when they first move into the village, um, the village is good enough. There's not really a long-term dream or goal beyond that. So
Hmm.
we feel like we've been successful when we can get people to that place where they're like, you know what, this is great, but I think I can do better. I think that I am capable of more. And so just measuring that kind of that attitude adjustment and then getting people into housing. But we really find it most successful when 12 months after they've left the village, if they're still housed. So
Hmm.
everybody that comes to the village, we tell them they're a part of our community now forever. Like they're not going to get rid of us. Like you're stuck. So even after they leave Agape Village, we'll continue to work with them and support them and be their friend and their mentor or whatever they need. As long as I mean, we don't force ourselves on anybody, but as long as they will receive it. Um, and so far, everybody that we've continued to work with after they've left Agape Village is still housed 12 months or longer after they've left. And we just really think one of our signs of success too, is that they're not returning to the street, that they're staying housed and staying healthy.
Hmm. Yeah, that follow-up is really crucial. It's not necessarily unique to every sort of organization or approach to addressing homelessness too. Like because I think sometimes the focus is just well, on the initial, placement into a home as opposed to what, y'all are doing with like, we want to see how they're doing a year later because the consistency and the stability is a big piece of it. So I think that makes a lot of sense, and that's a really great sort of like reassurance, like affirmation that what you all are doing is working, that
Mm-hmm.
they've been able to stay in, a home for, a year later.
Sure.
Now, I know Portland in particular has been, for better or worse, quite a case study for homelessness over the past, decade. And I know it's changed a lot over the past few years with the pandemic, and tent cities and things like that. Given that you're sort of in this space, like, what do you think is the biggest challenge for addressing homelessness in a major city like Portland?
I think that's a loaded question. I think
Hmm.
that it's there's certainly tons of complexities, and so I don't want to overgeneralize the
Sure.
situation, because I know everybody's situation is different, and I think it's
Hmm.
going to take a whole host of resources to really address the problem. But what we've seen what we've seen, and one of the biggest hurdles to addressing homelessness is the underlying issues around homelessness, like mental health, like drugs, um, just the severity with which we have seen people struggling with mental health and with their addiction, that becomes a major issue, and a major barrier to helping people not just get into housing, because people can get into housing, um, and still be in those struggles and still have those issues, right? So it's not necessarily the getting into housing piece, but for me, it's the breaking that cycle entirely of homelessness and poverty. That the biggest barrier to that is helping motivate people to get out of their addiction and to deal with their mental illness. Or maybe it's more like finding the resources to help with that addiction and with that mental illness. That just seems like Portland and Oregon in general just really struggles with providing the necessary resources to help people find stability and health.
Mm-hmm. No, that makes sense. And it does seem to be just sort of an issue that most, major metropolitan areas are struggling with in the U.S. today. I live in San Diego. San Diego is no different. There's a lot of things going on down here as well. So hopefully over time we'll see, more collaborations between, state and local agencies and working with nonprofits and, churches and people that have land and they're willing to, create something where, you can get people, the help that they need and support that they need, and also give them a safe place to stay, because I think that it is tough. I can imagine it would be really difficult to address any of the issues that you're facing as personally when you have to worry about that sort of like survival aspect,
Sure.
with housing.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think that you bring up a great point with addressing all of the factors around not having a place to live too.
Yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. Well, thank you so much, man. I appreciate you taking the time to chat with me. I know that anyone watching this is going to be, really, really inspired and encouraged, but also, hopefully they'll reach out, they'll ask questions, help support you all in any way they can. And links to everything that you're doing will be in the video description, so they can reach out and sort of like follow up with you all and see what you're doing. And they'll get to see, what the village looks like with the tour that will be at the end of the video. So I just really appreciate you taking the time to share sort of like your heart around this and just what you all are doing.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, of course. All right. Talk soon.
Okay. Well, welcome to Agape Village. We're located in southeast Portland, on the property of Central Church of the Nazarene. It's a 15-unit transitional shelter. When you come into the village, you first come in and you'll see that we have 15 units, all made out of wood. We have our nice little kitchen area, a little clothes washing machine there. All these units were made with volunteer hours, various youth groups, churches, Carpenters Union. I mean, we had all kinds of volunteers, all kinds of donations that helped make this possible. This site was just a rock quarry, so it's really come a long way since we opened in 2019. We've got a bathhouse with 3 different bathrooms in it. We've got this common room that's shared by everyone. It is air conditioned. It has freezer, microwave. We have our tool shed. We also have fire pit and picnic tables. We do what we can to make the space feel comfortable and safe. Every unit is 8 by 12. They all come with electricity, and they all come with bedding and a bed when people move in. Some of the units are a little different in that they have a loft in them, so that gives a little bit of extra living space, but 96 square feet is pretty spacious once you're in there, believe it or not. They're fully insulated, and so they stay nice and cool in the summer, and they do stay pretty warm in the winter. So we're happy with how the volunteers helped put all this together. Some of the villagers like gardening, so we have some raised flower beds, and we have some places for people to be able to plant some vegetables if they like. But that's who we are, and that's where we are.
All right, that was my conversation with Matt. I appreciate Matt taking the time to just sort of like share their passion and talk a little bit about what they're doing with Agape Village, how they got started, talk a little bit about just sort of like some of the main barriers, sort of things to consider when trying to address homelessness in a major city, and also just for taking the time to take us on a tour and showing us some of like the, the hard work that they put into creating the pods, creating the spaces, and the resources for people to be able to cook and just connect with people as well too, and just their sort of like heart for evaluation and looking at the success of the program and making sure that people stay housed even after they leave the program. So thank you again, Matt, for chatting with us. And then also I just want to thank the sponsor for this video again, Mac Insurance. Make sure that you guys check them out. There's links to everything that Matt is doing and everything at Agape Village in the video description, so website, all those things, and same for Mac Insurance too. So make sure you check both what Agape Village is doing and check out Mac Insurance if you're looking to buy a tiny house and you're not sure what the best options are for insurance. And if you're new to the channel, please take time to subscribe. It helps me out a ton. If you tap notification bell, you find out when I drop new videos. I drop new videos every single week. Thank you guys so much for watching, and don't forget to think tiny. I'll see you guys in the next one.